The three big industries that make the big bucks. Number one is big pharma. They're number one. Insurance companies, and then hospitals. We got three big industries sucking money out of our pockets.
Definitely.
And get this: the top five pharmaceutical companies made $80 billion last year, with a B, billion. And here's what just blew me out of the water. That is a 104% increase from the previous year. So year over year, they increased over 100%. And we're wondering why cost goes up, why our drug costs are going up. Well, it's pretty obvious. And then, I looked at insurance companies, and United Healthcare being the biggest. United Healthcare, because I didn't want to bore us with a gazillion different numbers, but I thought this was worth it. They had revenue of $324 billion, Jordan. They had profit of $25 billion, again with a B. And get this, they were behind only Walmart, Amazon, Apple, and Exxon. So we've got Big Pharma making money from us. We've got United Healthcare making tons of money from us.
Definitely, and that's where the problem stems. That's just costing the American people, the business owners, a ton of extra dollars. It's putting healthcare out of reach for a lot of people that desperately need it, and it's sad that we've allowed it to get to this point where it's greatly affecting so many people.
It is. And then my last one, and hospitals aren't quite as big. There's a lot more of them and a lot more independence. But Kaiser posted $4.1 billion in net income last year. So you've got Big Pharma, $80 billion, United Healthcare, $25 billion, and Kaiser, $4.1 billion. All those billions, yet our premiums on our insurance just keep going up and up and up and up. And now we've got 40 million Americans without insurance because they can't afford it. I mean, you can just go on and on about that stuff, Jordan.
Definitely. And do you see anything changing what's going on right now in America?
No, you get a bunch of folks saying, well, let's do single payer, which is basically universal health care. And in theory, that sounds real good. But let me point out just a couple of facts. There's a whole list of them, but I won't go into all of those, but just a couple of them. One, when you have single payer, your choices go way down. Your wait times go way up. You don't get to pick who you go to, and you don't get to pick how fast you can have that surgery you need or whatever. The other thing is it would cost us as a country about, give or take, and this is from 2 or 3 different sources, about $3 trillion. Well, when you figure right now we're printing about $2 trillion that we don't have. I mean, understand our budget, we bring in so much, but we're spending $2 trillion more than we're bringing in, which means that's why our national debt, I think last time I looked, was at $36 trillion and going up rapidly, which means we've got to pay the interest on that debt. And now you can see that between interest on debt and entitlement programs, that's our whole budget right now.
Definitely. And I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit. Do you know why it would cost that $1 trillion?
Well, it would cost $3 trillion to go to single payer, because now everybody's got insurance, everybody's using insurance, and all those costs just add up. When you've got a country of 330 billion people,
so
330 million people.
The extra expense comes from everyone without it now has it, because obviously it's a high expense right now, but there's so many Americans that do not have it.
Well, when I say higher expense, Americans
per person, it would be less.
Yeah, Americans are paying. For the most part, most of them are paying their health care cost.
Correct.
Well, if you went to single payer and the government's paying a big chunk of it, that's where that extra $3 billion or $3 trillion to our budget would go. Which
we don't have the room for right now.
We don't. I mean, we can't pay for what we've got now, and we just keep adding. And understand this: I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing are good ideas here in our country, but it's just like you and I. I mean, I may have a good idea that I want to do to my house. I may want to add something to my house, or I may want to replace an air conditioning unit, or I may want to do a lot of things. But if my budget doesn't allow it, and I just don't have the money, I can either do it and go into debt or not do it. And what we're doing now as a country is we just keep coming up with a lot of them, like I said, are good ideas, but there's no money, so we just keep going further and further and further in debt. And one day you're going to pay the piper. I mean,
it's at some point it comes due.
yeah, it's that's like you and I. We can live on credit cards for a while, but at some point in time, those credit cards, what you got to pay that monthly minimum ends up being more than what you bring in.